Hi, I'm Amy, thank you for tuning in. This is my February wrap-up video, and I have to say this is probably one of the best reading months I've had in, I can't even remember, at least 6 months. Partially because I handed in Mina in the cult in January and that's all done now. I just had a little bit of extra time and headspace to read in February. So I managed to read 8 books, which is the most I've read for ages, and it's kind of back on track with what I like reading. I find that if I can read 2 books a week, I feel really good. It means that I get through lots of things that I'm excited to read. So it felt like a really nice month. It was also lovely that in February, the Vampire Book Club read Mina and the Undead, because they are reading each of the books in the run-up to book 3 coming out in April. So they'll be reading book 2 in March if you want to join them, and then reading book 3 in April. So if you want to look them up, it's Kirsty Stanley, Kirsty ES, she calls herself on Instagram. If you want to join them, then that's where you'll find all the info. So one of the first books I read this month was the YA Book Club pick, which was the Babysitter's Coven. I don't have the physical copy of it because I lent it to somebody who was joining in the book club. I really enjoyed this one. I wasn't really sure what it was going to be like. I think I thought it was going to be set in the 90s possibly, and that is the only thing I maybe would have changed. It had a real 90s feel and lots of 90s pop culture references. A strong Buffy feel, which I always appreciate, a Babysitter's Club kind of atmosphere as well. But I just think if it had been set in the 90s, that would have been even more fun because it was kind of harking back to those books and TV shows. I think that was the only thing really that I was a little bit disappointed, but I did enjoy it, and if you like the things I've just mentioned, I definitely recommend you check it out. I joined in with another couple of book clubs as well as my own this month. I joined in with Sharon's Indie Horror Book Club. If you go to Sharon Joy Reads on most social media, I think, Sharon chats about and really amplifies indie horror voices in particular, and is a real advocate of horror books. And this month they were reading I'm going to mess up this name, Europa Falls, I think it's called, Europa Falls it might be, by Alan Shivers, which I have to say, love the pen name, which is based, I'm assuming, on Helen Shivers' name in I Know What You Did Last Summer. And because it was a slasher, I thought I would give it a go. I'm sometimes a bit nervous of adult horror because I don't know how extreme the content is going to be. But this one was really fun. If you're looking for a Scream type slasher, it's about a group of girls who are being killed one at a time at this fancy boarding school in Europe. And they're trying to figure out what's happening to them, and they keep getting warnings about who's going to be next. And it was just really creepy, gory, and it had kind of a fun, satisfying reveal at the end of it as well, I'll say without giving too much away. The next book I read, I asked my friend Mia to recommend me some romance books because I've been really having a craving to mix up my reading a little bit. I've been reading a lot of thrillers and horror lately, and I just wanted to read something different. So she recommended Payback's a Witch by Lana Harper and said that this was one of her favourite rom-com series, and it was so good. I think I would actually probably add it to my favourite books of all time, maybe. It's set in a place called Thistle Grove, and it's about these witch families who kind of run the town unbeknown to the humans who live there. And it's got this really fun, cosy Halloween feel where a lot of things are witch themed, and magic kind of makes things extra fun and special when people visit there. And in this book, there's a witch competition going on where the families compete, and the family who wins get to be kind of in charge of the witchy matters. I'm explaining this really well, sorry about that. And as part of it, they decide, the group of women who come together in this book decide to take revenge on one of the competitors, who is a man who wronged each of them in different ways. And it's just really fun. It's an absolutely great romance. I won't spoil it because it was kind of a nice surprise. I wasn't sure who the romance was going to be between, and I really liked the couple in this book. It's so well written, really romantic, really fun, and the kind of the witchy spookiness as well of it just made it for me. Absolutely brilliant. If you want a rom-com with a witchy feel, this is awesome. So next up, another book that I was really excited to read, The Girl Who Dreamed in Magic by Mia Kuznia. Mia is my friend, but I can completely say without bias that her books are absolutely amazing. I've been craving more middle grade from her since reading her Ship of Shadows series a couple of years ago. That was 2 books about a group of female pirates that were just brilliant. This is about a girl called Saga who is terrified of magic because her parents died using it. but she's been prophesied to use magic to save the North where she lives. I absolutely loved the atmosphere of the place this is set in Norway. It is very cold, and there's mentions of the Northern Lights and all the amazing foods you can eat when the weather's cold, really cozy things. And the actual plot is great. It's really exciting. It's a lovely adventure, and I adored the characters in this one. Mia writes characters so well. I think the main characters, you really get to know them, but even the minor characters, the sort of supporting cast, are awesome too. And I love the fact that Mia manages to throw in a couple of twists and reveals that surprise me, because even though it's a children's book, I still couldn't see exactly where this one was going. Next up, I picked up the new Rachel Harrison book. I only discovered Rachel Harrison's books, I think October or November last year. I picked one up at Comic-Con and I absolutely loved it, and I proceeded to buy everything that she's written, and I'm steadily working my way through them. Rachel Harrison's writing feels so modern and real to me, like these are real women that she's writing about. I love the fact that her brand of horror is very much modern feminist horror. And this one was really fun. It is about a girl who was raised in a community that's very much like a cult. It kind of is a cult. It's I won't spoil exactly what kind of cult it is, because that's a fun thing to find out as you go through the book. Her mom was a famous horror movie actress, and then she kind of retreated from society and joined this mysterious group of people. The main character, I've forgotten her name, Vesper's cousin is getting married. She's still part of this community, so Vesper goes back as she kind of promised herself that she never would, and things start going wrong. I nearly said something that could have spoiled the plot there, but I won't word it quite that way. I just think Rachel Harrison's books are amazing. If you are interested in giving them a go, this is a great one. If you're interested in cults at all, and if you like horror movie references in your books, this one is an awesome choice. Next up, another really anticipated book. It's been a good month for anticipated books. I really enjoyed the first Shiver Point book, It Came From the Woods by Gabriel Dillon. Anybody who knows me will know I'm a huge fan of Whiteout, Gabriel Dillon's YA debut, and these are his middle grade books. They're really short, so if you're looking for something short and spooky, and actually in places this one really scared me, then I would recommend it. As you can see from the front, it's not much of a spoiler to say. This one is about scary scarecrows. There's a great kind of spooky haunted house location in this one. We get to know the group of children even more. I like the fact that this book centres on each of the kids kind of get their moments in the book, and you get to follow the story through their third person perspectives, I think it is. Yeah, it is third person. And it's just really well done, really well written. You can tell Gabriel Dillon loves horror, and this shines through in the references and the tropes this book uses. And it's great. I'm just going to keep reading and reading these books as soon as they come out. Another favourite, Cynthia Murphy's latest book came out in January, and I didn't get a chance to pick it up in January because I was heavy into deadline mode. So I managed to read this when I was on holiday, and as usual, I loved it. This one is about a girl who's obsessed with true crime, and she goes to live in a new place in America from England, and she ends up living in a house where something terrible happened, and it transpires that in the 90s there was a series of killings that feels very much like a slasher film, and it seems like history might be repeating itself. This one is really good. It has that real Scream feel, if that's what you're looking for from books, as I always am. And it's told with Cynthia Murphy's usual like kind of snappy style, great dialogue, great twists and turns through the plot. Highly recommended. And finally, I joined in with the Point Horror Book Club. I've been trying to do this year because I have such fun when I do. It's run by Shelley Toy at Tales of Point Horror Book Club, if you look her up across her social media. This one is one that I don't really remember from back in the day. It's a stalker story, which I always find pretty creepy. I don't like the idea of somebody watching your every move. It really scares me. So I found this one quite scary actually, and as usual there were some hilarious point horror moments. If you know, you know. I'll just say vitamin bottle, brilliant. It was a good example of a point horror. I wouldn't say it's one of my favourite ones, but if you picked it up, I think you'd get a good sense of what point horror is all about. So that's it. They're the books that I read in February. Let me know in the comments if you've read any of them, if there's anything that you think I should read based on those choices. As always, likes and subscribes are really appreciated, and I will catch you in the next video. Bye!